This is Bucks County Community College, American National Government, Poli-Sci 111, and I'm John Deal, and this is question time number 2 for that course. Today's March 2nd, and we're getting close to that break that you guys will seriously appreciate after the rigorous efforts you've been asked to make over the past 2 months. And my hat is off to you for sticking in there in a very challenging course, and I'm sure you have others as challenging as well. Real quickly, I wanted to talk about 2 questions that Chris Strasser had for us, and one of them was about whether the media has too much influence on people's opinions. To answer that, I'm sending an opinion to everybody on the BB Vista Mail. In your mailbox you have a public survey done by the Pew Foundation on what people's perceptions about the media are, and I feel that the media is responsible for polarizing us, and the shouting and whatnot has made the discussions more heated, and that's not always a good thing. And I'm going to let it go at that for now, because question time is limited to 10 minutes by the technology that I'm using. I'll have more to say about it, though, because we are going to study the media in a little bit. But anyway, take a look at that and see what you think, and I'll be glad to discuss it with you as we go forward. The second question was about the military-industrial complex, and if it was out of control, and if it is out of control, what do we do to get it back within bounds? And, you know, the military-industrial complex is basically an iron triangle. You have Congress at one point, you have the defense industry at another, and Congress on a third. And they have mutual reasons for wanting to see a lot of military spending and hardware go to places. Congressmen like to have contracts come to their local area. Like, for example, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, has a Boeing plant that produces the V-22 Osprey. Back in the day when Dick Cheney was the Secretary of Defense, way back then, he begged the military not to buy the Osprey. The Marine Corps has asked not to have the Osprey, but it exists. They're spending money on it, and we're producing it, and it's largely because of the military-industrial complex. There are other examples of weapon systems that were unnecessary that went through because the local congressman wanted it for the jobs and votes that he would get from that situation. Several people have commented on this problem, and I think I'd like to mention C. Wright Mills. He wrote The Power Elite in 1936. I think that was mentioned in the first chapter, where he talked about the elite model of policy making. Remember the elite model, the pluralist model, the bureaucratic model. He felt that the elite model is in effect when we deal with military spending. You have the 3 fulcrums of that triangle, the 3 points, and they are a small group of people who all want something for themselves. The congressman wants the votes, the industry wants the business, and the Department of Defense does want to be powerful, and usually they're not going to say, oh, don't give that to me. In cases where they have said don't give it to me, they get it anyway. So the other 2 parts are pretty powerful. C. Wright Mills said that the real leaders of the state are those with mutual interests. So he would say that the MIC, as it's known, military-industrial complex, would be out of control. George Kennan, he wrote a lot of books during the Cold War, with the Soviet Union relations with the United States. He was very big on that, and he was responsible for a lot of our military policy during, a lot of the thinking about our military policy. He said that were the Soviet Union to sink tomorrow under the waters of the ocean, the American military-industrial complex would have to remain substantially unchanged until some other adversary could be invented. And President Eisenhower in 1961 chose as the main topic of his farewell address the fact that the military-industrial complex was out of control. It had unwarranted influence and misplaced power. That's from the commander of European forces in World War II, General Eisenhower, So if that person's saying it's out of control, I think it's pretty strong evidence that it was. The United States spends 50% of all the money spent in the world on weapons, and it spends 10 times as much as Russia spends on it now, and 6 times what China does, and the American spending equals the spending of the rest of the world combined. So it is very substantial. It is out of control. And I think one way that's been suggested to get control of this is to have an independent commission formed that handles the Defense Department budget. And by independent, I mean no members of Congress would actually be on it, that it would submit a report to Congress, that Congress would have to approve or reject in toto. In other words, they couldn't say, well, gee, please put this in there or please take that out. They'd have to take the whole study as done by the Independent Commission. This has been done in the past with decisions on what military bases to close. That is how the Willow Grove Naval Air Station came to be put on the hit list of things that should be closed. So, that's one suggestion I would put down there that probably could get the military-industrial complex under control. So take a look for that letter about the media and give some thought to the military-industrial complex. We'll be talking about that again when we look at policy towards the end of the course. Hang in there. The break is coming, and I'll talk to you again soon.